If you are a moviegoer and love movies, and you're someone who loves talking about the culture wars, this episode is for you. Right now, if you haven't heard, Ryan Coogler's Sinners just got nominated for 16 awards at the Oscars. That is unprecedented. Do we think that the Oscars is finally turning a leaf, or do we think that they're still virtue signaling to the same woke crowd in Hollywood? Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Ethan Wood. You are watching Cut the Crap, where we cut through the crap of the current Hollywood landscape, trying to figure out what is good to watch and what is not good to watch, and talking about why it's not good. In order to understand this whole story and to answer the question as to whether Sinners is just virtue signaling to the woke crowd again, or whether it's an actual good movie, we need to understand what Sinners is. So I have my notes right here. First, Sinners is about two characters, Smoke and Stack, and they are both played by Michael B. Jordan, which we've seen in a couple movies recently, notably Mickey 17. We can talk about that later. The movie is set in 1930 after those two returned from World War II. It's kind of like a Gothic Southern vampire horror film. So the technical term for that is called genre fluid. That is a new genre that we are seeing today that we will continue to talk about today as well. It stars Michael B. Jordan, who you might have known also from Creed or Black Panther, any movies like that. Ryan Coogler is working with Jordan. We've seen that happen in Black Panther, and now we're seeing it again in Sinners, which is why everyone was kind of hyped about this movie to begin with. These two are a dynamic duo, and if you haven't looked into those people, you need to do that. They are wonderful. I love these two when they work together. Right now, the appeal for this movie, from what people are saying, are the lighting, visuals, and the fact that they blended two genres together. You kind of got this weird like blues and horror thing going on. The Oscars hadn't seen that genre before. I've never seen that genre. I have nothing I can relate to that. And somebody in the comments, if you find a movie that relates to this genre, please drop it down there. I will definitely go look into it because I have never run into anything quite like Sinners before. Basically, you take two genres that are very stereotypical and you combine them into one. We've seen that with other movies like Mickey 17. Again, that was a movie where the same person played multiple characters. It was kind of like a sci-fi thriller type movie, which I really appreciated. Sinners came out on April 18th, 2005. It performed very, very well everywhere. Rotten Tomatoes got a 97%. IMDb got a 7.5 out of 10. On all standards, wonderful movie. Very, very well made. People loved it. I think most of you have too. I actually made a video about that. I'll link it down below, but you definitely should go watch that. It was bound to perform well at the Oscars. That was just a given. However, nobody expected them to get 16 nominations this year. It got nominations for Best Picture. It got nominations for the Best Lead Actor, which is Michael B. Jordan. If you didn't know, the people who are contending for that award are Timothée Chalamet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Michael B. Jordan is competing against two huge names in Hollywood right now. So good for him. I love this man. I'm so glad that he is getting this kind of recognition. He's a very good actor. He needs that. I really appreciate it. The Best Picture right now, some contenders for that are One Battle After Another, Frankenstein, Hamnet, and Marty Supreme. And I believe Marty Supreme is Timothée Chalamet's movie. The previous record for the most amount of nominations at the Oscars is 14. The ones who have gotten 14 are All About Eve, Titanic, and La La Land. Guys, I love the fact that Sinners is on the same level with Titanic. That is huge, huge for the program. People are more willing to award unconventional storytelling these days. I think that says something about the Oscars. We will talk about that later. Just a little side note right now. So if you guys are following the Warner Bros. Netflix Paramount deal, as I am, I will release an episode on that soon so you guys can understand the full picture of what's going on there. Warner Bros., out of all the movies it's made this year versus other film studios, has 30 more nominations than anyone else. Netflix hasn't even gotten any nominations that I know of. Netflix really needs Warner Bros. Right now. They need the quality, because Netflix doesn't have that type of quality. They got quantity, they got streaming, they got ease of use. Warner Bros. Has the quality movies that Netflix really, really needs. Super interesting. Anyways, back on track. Let's talk about one character. So if we want to answer the question as to whether this movie is just virtue signaling, it's just another woke garbage movie, or whether it's actually something good or something in between, which I'm going to go ahead and spoil that. I don't think that this is just woke garbage, but I do have some thoughts on some precedents that this movie might set in the future. Let's talk about one character to help us understand this story, and his name is Michael B. Jordan, which I've already talked about before. Jordan was a child actor before he became an actor. He then became an actor and a producer, and you probably know him from movies like Creed, or especially Black Panther, Friday Night Lights, and plenty more movies that he was in. He's a very good actor. I actually really appreciate his craft. He's very talented. He's worked for it. If you guys have been on TikTok or YouTube, you will have seen some interviews of him. If you guys are in the same algorithm space that I am, if you have seen any of his videos, you will learn to love him too. Here's a video of him moving out of his parents' house. I just thought it was really, really adorable, to be honest.
You continued to live with your parents up until well after you could afford to move out on your own and have your own house.
This is true.
Why?
I mean, 'cause I love my parents. You know, I love them. You know, and made for a lot of funny moments, a lot of great stories.
Like?
Y'all ain't got enough time.
Yeah, I would definitely not say either. That's super funny. Anyways, I just showed you that because he's just a genuinely fun guy. I love this dude. He's just a really good actor, family man, cares about his culture, cares about his people. We need more people like that in Hollywood, to be honest. I really appreciate that. He got his first nomination because of this movie, and he was very emotional about it. There are a lot of articles talking about how he just was so emotional, so happy. He thanked his parents. He called his mom. That was the first person he called when he got that nomination. This man is the example of a good actor, somebody that we should look up to, because he is so down to earth. He doesn't care about the fame. I mean, he probably does to a certain extent, and he needs, money in order to keep doing what he's doing. It seems like he cares more about his people than he does his craft, and he's good at his craft. That is something I can respect. And the reason that I bring all of this up is because a lot of actors will take cultural moments, they'll take big hot topic issues, and they'll piggyback off of them on movies, on interviews, and they'll build their entire brand on it. They'll build their brand on the body positivity movement, on BLM, on racism. While Michael B. Jordan could have definitely built his brand off of racism, he chose not to. He, yes, has a lot of those themes in his movies, but those aren't the focal point. He loves his craft. He loves acting. That is his passion. That is something I can respect, and I hope you guys can respect that too. I think that's a green flag for this movie and the reason why people liked it so much. The focal point was not the politics. It was just the movie. It was not that deep, and I really appreciate that. So what does this mean for the Oscars right now, right? Because the Oscars usually awards things that are pretty politically charged and something that's more politically correct. A good example is Emilia Pérez. Now, if you watched my channel at all, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's called Emilia Pérez and Why It Sucks. It's not actually what it's called, but that was basically the gist of it. It's this musical that was made, I think, in 2024. It had Zoe Saldana, which she's a great actor. Terrible, terrible movie. It was about this Mexican drug cartel gang member who basically wanted to transition from a man to a woman because he was tired of being in the cartel. So he hires this lawyer to do that, and then they meet up later and they become friends, and they do all this like musical number stuff, which is really, really gross because one of the songs is called Penis to Vagina. If you've never heard it, just go look up on YouTube Music or Spotify the worst musical number in history, and you will probably find it. It is vile. I'm talking fast because I hate this movie, and I hope that you do too. Anyways, funny story, I watched it on a flight because it was free and I had nothing else better to do with my time. So I watched that on my entire flight, and I was like, I'm going to do this for my people, for my YouTube channel. I am going to watch this so I can review it and show them, and maybe there's some redemption elements of it because I love finding redemptive things on this channel. Guys, there's nothing redemptive about that movie. It was awful. Everything about it made me cringe. It just felt like they were taking woke and they were just like shoving it down my throat. I was like, please stop talking about your vagina. I don't care about your vagina. I don't want to hear about your vagina. And I definitely don't want to see any vaginas, which I don't think there was, but there was a whole musical number about them like chopping off people's sexual parts. Anyways, just go watch the episode. I'll link it below. But anyways, the Oscars was laughable for that. They gave that movie 13 nominations at the Oscars. I don't know how many actually ended up winning. I need to go back and check that number. Actually, I could probably look it up right now. Hey, Google. So Emilia Pérez got 13 nominations at the Oscars, and it only won 2 of them. But still, 13 nominations, people. Come on. What are we doing? That is horrible. And that is why people started to view the Oscars as just irrelevant. Like, we just started ignoring it because if they're going to award movies like Emilia Pérez, then why are we going to listen to them? I'm going to make judgments on my own time because Oscars obviously doesn't know what it's talking about. It has been hijacked by the woke community, and I don't appreciate that. So the fact that Sinners got 16 nominations tells me that they are starting to look less at politics and more at just good movies. What makes a movie good? That is something that they are trying to tackle. And the difference between Sinners and Emilia Pérez is that Sinners tackles racism, yes, but it's not the focal point of the movie. That is a point I will keep reiterating because it is not the main focus. And what does this mean for the Oscars? Well, I think one, they're going to start recognizing better movies, but two, I guess they're going to start recognizing horror movies. Like the recent contenders for the most amount of awards, again, was La La Land, All About Eve, and Titanic. Those aren't horror people. Super interesting. The Oscars doesn't usually award horror movies with anything. So looking ahead, what is next? Like, what are we going to see next out of cinema? If the Oscars is going to nominate this many awards for a movie like that, maybe that will start signaling to other film studios to start giving other movies a chance. Maybe we'll see more genre fluid movies. Maybe we'll see movies that have political elements, but it's not the focal point, or maybe nothing will change and this is just a fluke in the system. I'm not sure. Super interesting though. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this whole movie though and where we're at right now. So this is a new segment where I'm trying to figure out, one sec. There we go. This is a new segment where I kind of want to divide up the opinion piece from the factual piece. This is where I'm giving my personal thoughts. Let's start with one thing that will clear up all of the problems that you guys probably have with me so far. First off, I am a white, straight male. The fact that this movie is about black culture to begin with already makes it pretty unrelatable for me. I can appreciate it, but I don't relate to it. So this movie definitely doesn't speak to me in the way that other movies do. I just wanted to say that first because everything I'm about to say might be a little jarring to especially the black community. I'm just letting you know, I am a straight white male. That's just where I come from. I'm sorry. Okay, so first, the movie is political. Like, yes, it tackles racism. It's set in the 1930s. It was already off to a pretty rocky start. So because of that, it had to be good. People had to, the director had to make sure that this movie was worth watching, which I believe they did. If it's a good movie, I can get behind it and I can appreciate it. And this is a good movie, so I can do both of those things. Again, this isn't some Emilia Pérez woke garbage nonsense movie where it was literally backed by one political message, which was that people need to respect trans people. And that was the entire plot of the whole movie. It was just trans people. It was just loving trans people. And it was really gross and horrifying. I don't like movies that celebrate sexual parts of people. That's just not who I am. Personally, if you are, you can live your life how you choose. It lost me entirely. I'm going to be honest. The movie Emilia Pérez just lost me entirely. But Sinners was different. Because yes, it was political, but it was trying something new. That is something I've been asking for from Hollywood for years, just years, way before I started this channel. I started this channel kind of out of retaliation because I wanted Hollywood to wake up and realize that I am not going to keep paying for the garbage they are putting in theaters. I want them to actually get talent in there who loves making movies and will make something worth watching. That is exactly what we're getting with Sinners. It's something that, yes, has the political charge again, but it has that sense of intentionality and love that was poured into it. The person who made it, Ryan Coogler, loves his history. And yes, it's going to spill into his work. That's just how that's how art is. People, they take who they are and they pour it out into their work. That's exactly what he did. Right now, we have a lot of live action movies, a lot of sequels. They are tried and true. There's a lot of data saying that people will go to theaters to watch these movies. That's why we're seeing them, is because Hollywood's out of ideas and they are just trying to make money wherever they can. They're using facts and data, and the facts and data are telling them that, yeah, for example, Moana performed really, really well, so we should do the live action Moana. And to be honest, I think it's because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson plays Maui in that movie, and they want to make sure they get him in the live action Moana movie before he gets too old or passes away or anything like that. I think that's the whole reason that they're doing this. We can talk about that on a different day. Right now, though, this method of making movies by the numbers is not sustainable. Eventually, they're going to run out of movies to remake, and then they're going to be stuck in this pickle of, I need to make new movies, but I have nothing to make because we have been focusing so much on live actions and sequels. Not Ryan Coogler. He chose a different path. The studios gave him a chance with something that nobody had ever tried before. Nobody's ever tried horror, blues, thriller, Gothic, Southern, whole thing. Southern Gothic, sorry. I'm not exactly sure who approved this project, but I'm so glad that they did. Because I think this shows Hollywood that the impossible can be done. That because something doesn't have data to back it up, it can still be successful. As long as you put intentionality, time, effort, and actual care into your work. What I'm hoping is that people learn from this success. That this isn't just a one-off movie that will never be done again. That people will learn from the success of Sinners and will make movies like it in the future. I'm also hoping that people learn how to make better movies in the future. Right? Because movies, if the focal point is all politics, nobody cares. But when the focal point becomes the story, becomes the characters, and politics is just kind of integrated into it, where this movie, racism, was just kind of integrated into it, it's way more enjoyable to watch. And honestly, I would view racism better as a result of that movie because it's not being shoved down my throat. That is more effective, honestly, if you want to put political messaging in your movies to begin with. People only care about money and messages. When that happens, you're gonna fail. That's just a fact. Coogler is not that. He cares about the money. Yes, you got to have money in order to keep doing what you're doing. And he cares about the messages because that's where he's come from. But he cares more about the craft and about making movies than he does about those things. And he integrates them in to his movies. And the result is just a masterpiece. The result is something that people actually want to watch. The result is just cinema. It's just storytelling. That's all he's doing. It's not anything revolutionary. It's just he's gone back to the roots of what movies should have been. And I really appreciate that. I respect the man a lot. So good takeaways from today. Movies about hot topic cultural issues can be good. And this might have set a precedent. Or this movie might have just been a fluke in the system. I'm leaning towards this sets a precedent because I'm hopeful and I do hope like that. I am a hopeful person. What do you guys think though? Is this just a fluke? Was this kind of more political messaging that you guys weren't asking for? Or do you guys think that this sets a precedent? That maybe this helps people wake up and realize that movies can be different. They don't need to be about the politics. Time will tell, but I'm very, very hopeful about this. If you made it all the way to the end of this episode, I really do appreciate you guys watching. Every view helps me out. My goal is to open up conversations about movies, to get the conversation rolling. I don't care if it's negative or positive. I just want people to talk about these things, talk about movies, talk about your culture wars. So if you want to do that too, if that's your passion, if you love Hollywood and don't want to see it fail and you want to keep the conversation going, please consider subscribing and honestly drop a comment down below. That's where the conversation happens. The comment section is the conversation. So please go down there, drop a comment. I'd love if you subscribe, like, share this video. All right, until next time, I will see you guys. Peace out.